Welcome to Unfiltered Summit Sisters. I'm Gina.
And I'm Julia.
We are two ride-or-die best friends who are paving the path for what true, authentic relationships look like.
We're facing hardships head-on, having real, uncensored conversations, supporting each other's growth, and shining a light on true, raw healing.
We are navigating the world the best we know how,
Having a hell of a time doing it.
laughing every step of the way,
Through the rain
and sunshine.
This is Canyon Culture. Man, parenting has been really heavy lately.
What are you talking about? It's the easiest job on the planet.
And I'm sending all of mine to live with you.
Damn it.
Let me know if it's still easy. There's been one in particular who has just been having a really difficult time, and he is really good at expressing his emotions. Not always in appropriate ways,
I was going to ask.
but he does express them.
So he's not bottling up is what you're saying.
No, he does not bottle up, which is sometimes good and sometimes not.
I was going to say, I feel like that has pros and cons.
We are learning appropriate and inappropriate ways to express emotions,
Good.
and some of that is trial and error. The
Is
error
it-
is not super fun.
I was like, isn't that parenting in a nutshell? Especially because it works for one kid and not the other.
Well, I meant he's trial and erroring things, and it is not the funnest on my end.
Oh, man.
Anyway, but every time that we, lately, every time that we're dealing with stuff, when we are finally able to get past the intensity of the emotions and get down to the root problems, there's three things that come up. One is, I'm mad that we've had to move so many times. It feels like we'll always be moving.
So these are his emotions that he's
Yes.
dealing with. Okay. So he's mad that he had to move so many times.
Which
Okay.
is very valid.
Yeah.
The kids, ever since we left, all of our houses have nicknames.
Yes.
Ever since we left the married house, is what the kids call it, they've had a different birthday. They've had a birthday in a different house every single year.
Except for James.
Until this year. We have just started our second round of birthdays in the same house, which just is so exciting. And thank you, Jesus, for some stability for these kiddos.
It's
and
amazing. It's so beautiful.
Yes.
Like we have traditions that we are now duplicating.
Yes.
Not duplicating, but replicating from the previous year.
Yes, I love it
It's
so much. My 6-year-old last night, he told me he wants to become a donut maker when he grows up,
I love this for him.
so that he can sell donuts so we can buy the house we're in.
I love this for him.
I was like, I love you so much.
I will
Can you make some
participate.
gluten-free ones?
I will participate in the consuming of these donuts. I'm going to end up paying your rent out of from my participating of the eating
I love
of
it
the
so
donuts.
much. I love it.
He's so cute.
So the first thing is how many times we've had to move, which valid for a kid is
Yeah.
valid for freaking me as an adult. Let's be real.
Yeah.
The second thing is that we don't have dogs anymore. Either our dogs have died or we have had to rehome them for moving purposes. Again, really valid. He's had a lot taken away in his little life.
Yeah.
And I get that. And then the third thing is my dad left without saying goodbye. He didn't even say bye. And so these are some really heavy things that he is walking through as a 10-year-old. These are really heavy emotions that he's dealing with. And
I think it's interesting that it's not my dad left.
right,
It's that my dad didn't say goodbye.
I think that
That's a
part
really
is,
interesting detail, and I wonder if that detail is a detail or if he's just wording it in a way that makes it feel like a detail.
my mom gut tells me it's a detail
It's very interesting.
because of the way that he words it, and any time that it's brought up, it is exactly that.
Okay.
It never changes. He didn't say bye.
That I think is amazing that he's able to do that though.
Yes.
Like you were like, even though he with trial and error not being able to express his the fact that he can name them
Yes.
is incredible,
Mm-hmm.
because there's so many times where we're having hard times and you're just like, I don't know why I'm upset.
Yes.
I'm upset, but I don't know why.
And now, to give some background to that, like we've worked through a whole lot. This kid also will more often than not give the silent treatment before we're able to get to the root cause of anything. So
Yeah.
all of these three things that I'm talking about have taken us hours and days and weeks to get to the root causes of. We've gotten there, which is fabulous.
Yep.
And I've praised him for that and told him, you're able to identify and express things that grown adults do not know how to do.
Even if it took you like the fact that he is taking, like arriving there at all is so impressive.
Yeah, I think too, and I've told him that.
Good.
I've told him that. But those big emotions and feelings sometimes come out in ways that are not good.
Not peaceful.
You know, he punched a hole in my wall.
Yeah, that was a fun day.
I'm like, I don't think I was even home when he did that. He accidentally kicked his brother in his balls. I'm like, weird. I don't think I've ever accidentally kicked someone in the balls.
Right. That takes effort.
Right.
A lot of aim.
Aim. Right. He's 6. They're little. Anyway, and so we're, he's going through a lot. And so being able to support him is sometimes hard because I have a lot on my plate, right?
Yeah.
And so this past week has been more hard days than not. And there was a specific day. I see 22 students in 3 days, on top of my own 6 kids and everything else on my plate. And so on top of that, I haven't been sleeping again. And I was just almost in tears just teaching because I'm so tired, not because anything is wrong, not just from pure exhaustion of my body needs to sleep and it's not.
Mm-hmm.
And then I come out, I finish work, I come out of my office, it's 7:45 p.m. I just finished work. And he's supposed to do dishes that day. And he's like, I'm not doing them. And like already I'm like, I can't do this today. I can't. So I'm trying to have a discussion with him. I'm trying not to lose my shit because I'm so done. And not with him, just I need sleep. Right? And so I'm explaining to him, I'm like, Jacob, part of our family running smoothly is that everybody has to play their part in the family. Today, for you, that is dishes. And I need you to play your part. That's what makes the family run smoothly is when we all work together and we all do our part. There's too many. I'm not doing them. I'm like, so I literally just said, do them. And I walked away because anything at that point, I was getting to a point where anything that I said or was going to do was just going to wreck our relationship. And I knew that. And so I was like, I don't care if he goes downstairs and doesn't do the dishes right now. I can't handle this. I'm not going to handle it appropriately.
I think that is something that I am also learning is that it's okay to walk away. So, because there's so much this has to get done. You have to follow the rules. But sometimes the best move is to walk away.
Yeah.
And to not be to not ruin the relationship.
And who gives a shit if the dishes sit there all night long and they get done tomorrow?
Exactly. We get so stuck in that we have to check all these things and our house has to be this, that, and the other thing. Mm-hmm. When in reality, that relationship with that child needing that space, you needing that space, you needing to not deal with it at that moment needs to take priority. And I think taking a step back and really evaluating that, and sometimes walking away, leaving the house, whatever, is way more important.
Right.
And the right move.
It's not this pretty picture of, I'm choosing, we're sitting in a peaceful spot. We're not.
No.
He's frustrated, mad. He doesn't want to do dishes. I am so beyond exhausted. I can't even freaking think straight. I'm angry at him, myself, the world. I don't know. Right. And
all of the above?
All of it. So I'm like, no, we just need to break.
Yep.
So it's not this pretty picture of peaceful parenting. It's not that at all.
No.
It's that we're stopping right now. Everybody
knowing your limits. You know your limits.
Yes.
And you know that anything that's going to happen from here on out is not going to be good. So I'm just going to take a minute.
Yes.
And it's not, I think that is understanding your limits is an important thing as a parent because, and having that perspective of your relationship with the child is the number one.
Yes.
The dishes are so low on the list.
Right.
But your relationship with the kids, and I think I get stuck a lot of times with, I want my kids to be well behaved in the sense of respectful and kind and carrying their weight.
Right.
That, but that's gonna become more fostered through a better relationship instead of a dictatorship.
Right.
So I love that is a perspective, and that was a choice that you made instead of bulldozing through, screaming in his face.
Right, in which, to be flat out honest, I have done before.
Yeah.
I've done that plenty of times.
Yep.
I've made the wrong choice.
Well, and sometimes that is the right choice. I'll be completely honest. Sometimes they need to get their faces ripped off.
Yeah.
Not most of the time. And definitely...
I don't know if it's just a boy thing.
Oh, I don't know the difference.
Very different. Very different. I will just leave it at that. My girls have not challenged me in such a way that my boys have.
It's like the boys, and I can't speak for the girl part because I've never parented a girl before, But parenting a boy, the emotions are so heightened in a moment.
Right.
And I don't, maybe with girls it's heightened, but it's longer lasting, or if it's, I don't know.
Well, I feel like at least with mine, like I feel like he's subconsciously trying to establish dominance, and I know that that sounds dramatic.
Is it dominance or boundaries? He's trying to figure out the boundaries and he doesn't know how to do it. And there's no masculine energy in the home to push back.
Right. Right.
So maybe it feels like
Which is
dominance.
frustrating because then, my boyfriend comes in and I'm like, he listens to him and I'm like, seriously?
Because of that male, that's the thing. It's because of that
I know.
male, that, what is it? Masculine energy.
I know, I agree with you. It doesn't make me any less frustrated though.
Yeah, absolutely. Because if I try and stand in my masculine, it doesn't work.
No.
Anyway, so you
Yeah.
stepped away, and that was that.
So I stepped away, he stepped away, and then at some point he decided to do the dishes. I don't know. I was in my room trying to somewhat control myself, contain myself,
to not die.
lose my shit, not die, right? He comes in to tell me that he did the dishes, which I didn't know that he had done. He comes in and tells me that he did the dishes, and I was ready to, like, rip him a new one in an appropriate way, in an apparent way of, like, you are making my life so much harder right now.
Yeah.
Right? You had one job to do the dishes. You played all day long. I worked all day to make money, to pay the bills, right? Like, I'm ready to tell him all of this.
Yeah.
And I opened my mouth, and in that very second, it was like the Spirit took over my words, and I said, thank you. Those two words, thank you. And from the rest of that, the Spirit guided me on what to say. And I know that sounds so weird, and some people might be weirded out by that. But the Spirit came into me, and I said, thank you. And then I went along and said, thank you so much for doing your part of this family. By you doing those dishes, by you doing your part, you made my load a little lighter today. You made my life a little less stressful today. And I'm so grateful for that. Thank you so much.
I don't think that that's weird at all. I think that that's what the Spirit is there for, is to speak through us that way and to do those kinds of things. And I think that your dedication to the Lord and your time with God in the morning and your desire to be a good mom and your desire to want to be with, to walk with God, is so that you make yourself that vessel to have the Spirit speak and take over. There's lots of times with our church, we talk a lot of times, like people will say, I had this really spiritual conversation and I don't remember a thing I said. The Spirit just spoke to me so much that they weren't mine. They were not my words.
Right.
They were God's. And so that was you being a vessel. And I love that was, and I love that that's what it was, that you went in and that even in your heightened, emotional, tired space,
yes,
that you still were able to listen to the Spirit and go that way. Because as soon as you had told me that story, I was like, oh, I was having a hard day with a kid that day and I did not choose that route. And I was like, I am so happy that they had that moment. And it made me go, I need to do better and have that moment. And I think it's so awesome that he chose that on his own, that you could give him that praise, that he could have that victory. Like, what an amazing moment for you two.
Yeah, I think, and I hope that really touched his heart. I know that he's 10 and he probably doesn't hear a whole lot, but I hope that he felt it. I hope that he felt in his bones. That was different.
Well, I wonder if you can reflect on that later. Just like, remember that one time? Remember how this went really well at that time?
Yeah.
That was awesome.
And
you can even talk about it when it's not just like today. Just be like, remember how you did the dishes that one day? I want to thank you again. That was a really neat moment that you had a hard time with it and yet you still did it. Thank you.
Yeah.
I love it. It's so beautiful.
Yeah. So we worked through that day, went to bed, didn't sleep again.
But the dishes were done.
The dishes were done. Didn't sleep again. Had another hard day, and by the time that I got done with my day, and everything was done, I was again just so I can't even put into words the exhaustion.
You're living it right now.
And so I sat on my bed and cried, and just tears of just pure exhaustion, and I was so hungry. Because I hadn't eaten and I really needed to eat a meal. And at that point, I was like, I can't even make myself food right now. I would rather starve and go to bed. I'm so freaking tired. And he walked into my room and saw me crying and came up and gave me a really big hug. And he goes, do you want me to make you dinner? And it's almost going to make me cry again. And he goes, Mom, I'm your son. I know when you're having a rough day.
I love him so much.
And he went and made me a box of gluten-free mac and cheese all by himself. And he put it in a glass bowl, not a disposable one, not a paper one. He put it in a glass bowl and he put it on a plate to make it look a little like fancier, you know? And he brought me dinner at 10:15 p.m. He stayed up late to serve me and make me dinner, and just the hug and the Mom, I'm your son. I know you. I know when you're having a hard day. Just brought me so much peace. I was like, maybe he won't end up a drug lord in prison. Maybe. There is hope for him after all.
Well, what made me think of is just this concept I want to teach my kids about being a conduit. Like anytime we're feeling love, we're all just feeling Christ's love. Mm-hmm. We're all being conduits. And I wonder if that moment of you thanking him, he got to feel Christ's love.
Yeah.
And most likely unconsciously was like, I want to also be a conduit of Christ's love for my mom. Mm-hmm. I love him.
Yep, that is
amazing.
That was a core memory for me.
That is so sweet that he was so thoughtful.
Yeah.
I love that.
And he made me dinner and he brought it to me and it was delicious. And he gave me a big hug and he said, okay, I'm going to bed now.
Didn't ask for anything.
No.
I freaking love that so much.
Yeah. So I was like, okay.
You're doing good.
We're doing okay.
You're doing okay.
We're doing more than okay.
Way more than okay.
Yeah.
You're crushing it.
God's got us. Even in my weaknesses, my shortcomings, my pure exhaustion, God's got us. He's filling in all the spots.
I think it's interesting how quickly the hard moments turn into some of our favorites.
Yeah. I love that.
I love that. I love that we're in that season of life where we can recognize them quickly. Because
Mm-hmm.
I think there's a season of life where it took a while.
Yes.
Those hardships felt like they lasted a really long time.
Mm-hmm.
And the space for gratitude didn't come right away.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that both of us have had experiences lately where we got to feel the hard and the peace and joy from moving through those hards very quickly.
Yes.
And that makes life bearable.
Mm-hmm. It really does.
Well, thank you for sharing that. And I'm grateful that we are in a space in our lives where we can look at our lives as positives even through the hard. Mm-hmm. That even though we're tired, even though we're overworked, even though we are undervalued and underpaid,
severely.
There's times where I want to not shine a light, but I want to recognize that life is hard.
Yes.
But I am so grateful that I am so quick to go, but it is so beautiful. Mm-hmm. I can't sit in a victim space.
Right.
I can't sit in the dirty river with certain things because there's just so much light around it.
Mm-hmm.
And those conflicting, this is hard, but it's also beautiful.
Mm-hmm.
They just come hand in hand so fiercely sometimes in a good way.
Yeah.
And so I'm grateful that my perspective is that.
I love that. I am just grateful for my babies. Mm. All I ever wanted to be was a mom. And I know that there are moms who would kill, not just moms, ladies that would kill to be moms. Mm-hmm. They would do anything to have a kid punch a hole in a wall in their house, right?
Yeah. Yep.
And I recognize that. And I am so, so grateful that God blessed me with so many kids. Not just one or two. I have 6 beautiful, beautiful babies, and I get the honor and the privilege of being the steward of their souls right now and being able to walk life with them and disciple them and live life with them. It's not a dictatorship. It's not a controlling them. It's not a I don't even know the word I'm looking for right now, but I get to walk life with them. I get to teach them. I get to show them. I get to be their safe place. I get to be their unconditional love, their unconditional acceptance. I get that privilege and that honor. Not everybody gets that. And no matter how hard it is, no matter, there are days where I don't want to be a mom, where I feel like I don't want to be a mom. Let me rephrase that. I feel like I don't want to be a mom.
Yeah.
I am grateful for what I have been given, and I do not want to take it for granted.
Very beautiful. Well said.
Thank you.
Well, hopefully somebody learned something today. I did.
Good.
Okay.
You're welcome.
You're so gracious. Okay.
Oh, man.
We'll see you guys next week.
Thank you for listening to this week's episode of Unfiltered Summit Sisters.
Come join us on Instagram, Facebook, and TikTok to get a sneak peek into our lives.
It's beautiful, chaotic, crazy, and fun.
What else would you expect raising 10 kids?
All the links you need are in the show notes.
See you next week.